What's going on, everybody? I decided to make this video today because I get a very large number of comments on my videos of people telling me, you know, I'm going to destroy my transmission, or telling me how I should shift, or questioning how I should shift, or whatever. There's a lot of crazy things that I hear out there about shifting. So you might already know all these, but if not, this is a pretty beginner thing that I think everyone riding a dirt bike should know. And that is the 4 different ways to shift a dirt bike. If you know all 4 ways of how to shift a dirt bike, then you don't need to watch this video. But if you're thinking to yourself, there's 4 different ways to shift a dirt bike, you should probably continue watching this. So starting out with number 1, the classic, the traditional, the tried and true, the way that everyone's grandpappy taught them how to ride a dirt bike and shift. And they always tell you, oh, if you don't shift this way, you're going to absolutely blow up and destroy your transmission. I'm assuming you know what this is. It is when you're riding, you let off the throttle, then you pull in the clutch, shift up, then you get back on the throttle. Number 1, very traditional, normal way of shifting, and probably everyone will originally teach you how to shift this way. This is my friend Josh. He's been in several of my videos. This is his 2007 Honda CR125R. He could do some third-person examples of, you know, shifting through the gears several of the different ways. So now he's going to do the classic traditional way, number 1, which is letting off the gas, using the clutch to shift up to the next gear, and then getting back on the gas. The second way to shift is you're giving it gas, you let off the gas, you don't use the clutch at all, you click it up a gear, and then you get back on the gas. This is a little bit more efficient of a way to shift, in my opinion, because in certain situations on trails or on a motocross track, you really want to hold your grip as tight as possible, and you don't want to reach out to shift with the clutch. So, on the gas, quick let off the gas, shift up without the clutch, then back onto the gas. The shifter just glides right into place. As long as you let off that throttle, it glides right up into the next gear. Don't got to use that clutch lever at all. So this is interesting. This is something that I just learned about Josh. He says he thinks he always uses the clutch to shift. It's like a mental thing for him. Am I explaining it right? It just feels wrong shifting without the clutch.
Pretty much just always started with the clutch, so he's always done it. Just
always done it with the clutch. So this is an interesting perspective for this video, because I'm going to have him do the second method, which is letting off the gas and shifting up without the clutch, which is like against his, you know, second nature. So second way, which is something that Josh literally never does. He's going to really try and do it for the first time here. Perfect. I don't know if you can see it on the GoPro, but as he was going, his hand never left that grip. He never used the clutch, but you could hear that he was letting off the gas, shifting up into the next gear, completely without the use of the clutch. I'm sure he's going to come back and be like, whoa, I never realized you could just shift without using the clutch. From someone who doesn't ever do that, how did that feel?
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same, but
exactly the same except for the little blip where you're not, where the clutch is in it.
Right? Did it feel weird, like mentally not grabbing that?
Not too much. I mean, you know, you're still moving your foot, so.
Yeah. Now that you've tried it, I'm wondering if you'll end up like not using the clutch while you're shifting around. If you're still
on straights and whoops, it's
easier
because you don't have to worry about.
Bingo. Yeah, exactly. Because you can hold your grip on a whole lot tighter.
Exactly.
In tricky situations, it's just a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the third way that you shift a dirt bike. Some people will tell you not to do this. Don't listen to them. This is perfectly fine. The third way is we're going to shift now full on the throttle. Don't let go of the throttle. When you're ready to shift into the next gear, you stay full on the throttle. You just blip the clutch like this, and as you blip the clutch, you pull it up a gear. Blip, blip, shift, full on the throttle. Now number 3 is probably my typical way that I shift while I'm going around the track. It's like the most common method that I use. know that that's probably my most commonly used method of shifting. It's my favorite just because you keep your momentum up by keeping full on the throttle, but you don't have to be at the perfect RPM to shift it up in the gear. When you blip that clutch, it's going to allow you to shift up at any point. If you're comfortable with number 3, which you guys, number 3 is full on the throttle, blipping the clutch and banging it up a gear when you blip the clutch. This is perfectly fine. It's the same, you know, you're using your clutch to put it into the next gear, but you're gonna stay on the throttle. And this is, again, something that Josh like never does. I really don't know. Never done it. Have you really never? Okay, you wanna give it a go?
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
All right, cool.
I'll be able to do it, but even right there, like, my mind is like, so memory.
Yep. Oh yeah, you could hear it. He stayed full on the throttle. That's awesome. So there you go. That was absolutely perfect. All he had to do was just stay on the throttle and just shift blip the clutch and shift up real quick like he's normally used to doing, but he has to stay on the gas the whole time. But in that method, you can hear, I don't think you have to listen that closely, but you can hear that every single time he blips the clutch while he's shifting, it goes because you're still on the throttle, and as soon as you pull on that clutch, it like goes to max RPM real quick. How did that feel? Very unnatural or what?
Definitely had to break the habit.
Yeah.
Of letting off, even just, you know, I don't completely let off, but just the muscle memory of letting off just a little bit when I do it, for sure. To just sit there completely not do anything.
No, this will not mess up your gears. No, this will not mess up your transmission. This is a very fast and efficient way to shift, to keep yourself going at a high speed. You don't have to take any brake with the throttle. You don't have to slow down just for a second. Even if it's just for a second that you're letting off the throttle, this helps you keep up your speed so much more. Let's say, for example, you're trying to get the speed to go up to a jump. If you let off the throttle coming up to the face of a jump out of a corner, it just slows you down that little tiny bit, and this is just going to make it so much easier for you. Stay on the gas, blip the clutch, shift up while you blip the clutch, and just stay on that gas. Blipping the clutch, what that allows you to do is whatever RPM you're at, that will allow your bike to go into the next gear. If you don't blip that clutch, your bike, and you try to shift up while full on the throttle, your bike will not go up into the next gear unless you are at the right RPM. So the reason that this is the third way to shift and not the fourth final way is because you can do this at any RPM. It doesn't matter if you're in low RPM, high RPM, whatever. Now that brings into discussion the fourth way to shift. Yep, you guessed it. You stay full on that throttle, you don't even touch that clutch, and while you're staying full on the throttle, you click it up into the next gear. Now, while this is the fastest and most efficient way to shift, your shift is like immediate, your power stays full on the entire time. It's going to get you, you know, to the first corner the fastest way. You need to shift that lever up at like the perfect point. There's going to be a little window where you can feel that lever just smoothly click up into the gear perfectly like silk. If you're not at the right RPM and you're full on the throttle and you try to click it up a gear, it's not going to happen. The shifter physically just will not let you go up into the next gear. I promise you that. So this one takes a little bit of practice, and I'm a very average dirt bike rider. I 100% cannot do this every time. This is something that I'm practicing, that I'm learning. All right, so I'll try to give you guys a little demonstration of that here. All right, so on my first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay. Oh! So that was a perfect example. I think I went third, fourth, fifth without letting off the throttle at all, without the clutch. So if you made it this far in the video and you didn't know all those methods, I hope it taught you something. I hope you can go out and practice those. Every time I ride, I'm practicing all the different methods and which ones to use in which situations. I typically use the third. I use the fourth when I can. I'm learning how to do it. And I use the second method as well, which is just letting off the gas, but no clutch. I essentially never use the number one way, the traditional way, letting off the gas and pulling in the clutch. I literally like never do that ever. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.